Sean, we start off in the first of the afternoon with Piers Stradham aboard a Son of Var out of a Dylan Thomas mare called Bergerac.
Yeah, I'm expecting a decent run. He went to the course about a month ago and he got hurt in the pens, had to be scratched. Yeah, we're hoping that everything's fine and hopefully he should be thereabouts.
Okay, on to the second where you've got Encore. Looks like a half-sister to Pomodoro for what it's worth. By twice over, what's the expectation for Encore?
Yeah, she's a lovely filly. I think it's quite a competitive race. I'd like to see her running on at the business end. I mean, if she could earn a check or get even closer, I'd be more than happy. But the expectation is that she finishes the race off well. She has got some sort of ability, and yeah, we'd like to just see something at the track.
MUZI, thanks for the opportunity to chat to you, particularly on such a busy day. We start off in the first leg of the place accumulator with the late Brian Weed-trained VARQUERA.
Yes, she's been holding very good form. I thought it was a tad unlucky last time. What I like about her, she's got the experience. I know there's nice, slightly raced horses like Mr. Peter Zoswarren's riding and Raymond Danielson's Sean Tarry runner that ran second last time. I've got the experience, obviously, having more runs under the belt, and she's holding decent form. She's courageous, and I just expect a good first three run from her. I think including all traffics and quartets.
She ran on very nicely inside course in her last outing, which actually surprised me because she was always a filly that we thought would need the inside track and the mile. But I was very, very happy with her debut run. They do look like one or two tough nuts to crack, but hopefully with a bit of improvement she'll be there.
Yeah, Andy, she ran a creditable first race over a distance too short first. She's made a lot of improvement at home. Looks like a competitive race. She got a tricky draw, but I'll be disappointed if she wasn't competitive.
Star Effect, yes, good first run. I thought it was a decent first run. Obviously looking for much more improvement. It is a bit of a tough task because I think he still needs the racing experience. But I also picked him out. I liked his debut run, looked quite fair, and I expect more improvement. Could sneak in the larger quartets.
The fourth race, first leg of the pick six, you've got a hell of a ride, lovely name.
Yeah, and he ran a cracker first time, a little unexpected as he showed us not much at home. But he seems to have improved a lot from that run and is starting to show some decent work. Has a great draw of one, so he's got to be included, I guess.
My assumption is that he's probably going to be quite a fit horse.
Andy, look, he had his vaccination program. We were trying to run him before we had to do the vaccines, but I think in 9 entries we got 9 wide draws. So, like I say, I keep moaning about that darn machine down there, and I still am. But finally cracked it with him. He got a nice draw over everything. Had 2 very nice grass gallops. I'm very happy with him. I think he's easily fit enough for the mile. Hopeful, good draw, good jockey, good horse. So I think he'll run well.
Snow Palace, yes, the first run over 1,000 meters. Over 1,000 meters last time at the Val. I was hoping she finishes a bit closer. Probably needed the run more than she did. She impressed me when I rode her Greyville running third in that Group 1. And she jumped a shadow as well, which made it I think she would have really gone close in a slow run race, coming from a bad draw. She's very classy, got a lovely action. I think she's a filly who will end up going a 10 furlong, 2,000 meters, enjoyed comfortably. I'm electing to stick with her because I think she's got high scope to be very competitive coming up into the Triple Crown races. It's a very, very competitive field, and I think it's going to be a tough race, but this filly is very much up to the task. The only concern is I'm just hoping that the second run after layoff and looking at her first start, she doesn't need it too much. But she's a smart filly and one to watch for the future.
Yeah, Sidonie, I think she just overdid it the last start. She stayed on quite nicely. I mean, it's a very good run. There's nothing to complain about, but I just feel that had she been a little more settled in the running, she could have maybe threatened. I think she's got a lot in her favour, and I give her a good chance. Golden Belle, this is a little step up for her in terms of, I'd say, the distance and the course. She did well on the inside course because she's a filly with a lot of speed, and she switches off and she uses that speed to finish the race. This is more of a test from a stamina point of view. Raymond gets on well with her, and she must have some sort of a chance. And Invisible, it's just a prep run for the ready to run in Cape Town, and we're just hoping that she can run on strongly and cement her place.
Yeah, she's a funny filly in that she doesn't show much at home. She ran a good second her first run for us behind Milk Queen, who franked that form in Durban in the Group 1. So, I mean, based on that, she's got to have a good chance. She is prepping though, coming off a rest, so there's a lot of improvement. I'm just looking for a nice positive run.
Yes, I picked her as a big prize money. They pay up to the stake is great, and I'm just hoping to run maybe in the first 4. You know what I mean? Hopefully third, fourth. I think it's going to be tough to beat some of the high-rated horses. I know she won a maiden qualifying, so the formula is not that great, but I'm just hoping that I can pick up a check for the owners.
Yeah, obviously we have to think long and hard about that, but we've decided to give him a chance here. Hasn't got the best of draws. On her work at home and her form, she's certainly got a massive chance. You just need a bit of luck in running.
You know, with Team de KOKK, you've got a ticket, you have a chance.
Yes, actually, watching him win so well over those staying races, I really thought coming back to a mile is a bit short. But if the speed is on, I think it might be in his favour. His work has been exceptional.
Yes, Tilbury, everything's gone really smoothly with him. I probably would have liked a little more time, but he is well enough, and especially the fact that he runs really well fresh. I think all those things are in his favour. He's got a reasonable draw, a reasonable weight. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be finishing off strongly. As I've mentioned in the media this week, that he only beat a graduation field, and he was weighted to win it as well as he did. But the nice thing is that he finished the race off well, where he'd been, weighted to win previously, and he just seemed to be shirking it at the business end. He's come along the right way. The gelding certainly has helped him. It was something that we always knew he needed to do. His mission is definitely the Summer Cup, but that's not to say that he hasn't got a chance here. A filly that I think's got a lot in her favour. Once again, I would have loved to have got another run under the belt before we attack the testing mile for the first time, but she's had a reasonable prep besides that, and a little bit of luck in running from a deep draw. She's certainly good enough.
Look, I haven't got any buildings to substantiate this, but I think that PILOU represents outstanding value at 45 to 1. I just think he's a horse that could very easily show up on the day.
Yeah, Andrew, he sneaks in right at the bottom of the weights. I think he enjoys this course and distance. I think Luke will suit him. He showed in Durban that he doesn't need to go to the front. I think he's a nice quartet horse.
Barrahin is a very talented horse as well. I know that he hasn't been gelded, and I think Callan Murray climbs aboard him.
Yeah, he's a talented horse. He's prepping for the Summer Cup. Miles definitely not his ideal distance, but a good draw will help that. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run a good race, but like I said, the Summer Cup's our main mission.
Cascapedia, she 9 times out of 10 she runs a cracking race, whichever distance. She's just so versatile.
Yeah, she needed her last run really badly. Made the necessary improvements. Also prepping for the Summer Cup. Also has a good draw over what's a little sharp of her best. Would love to see her run positively, and we can go into the Summer Cup nice and confident.
Right, Noble Secret, I would imagine that his main mission is also the Summer Cup. He's a horse that clearly gets a mile and a half, and the gelding seems to have done him the world of good.
Yeah, and he had wind surgery, so his first run back was after wind surgery. Also was very underdone for that, has made a lot of improvements, still on the up. I'd like to see him back in a staying race, but we're using all these races just to get him back to peak fitness. Drawn 19, so I don't think he's going to have a hope of winning, but I think he'll be running on nicely.
Yeah, it's amazing, and can't blame the machine for that one because it was hand-drawn. But, it's going to be very, very difficult for him. Wide draw, pretty big weight. As a little horse, when I say big weight, in that company it's a big weight. I think it's a tall order for him. ZOUAVES is as honest as the day is long, so I just hope, you get some kind of a run and, we're there with some kind of a shout at the end.
Yeah, it is an interesting race. Eden Rock, I think to give away, 5 kilos to a lot of these horses is going to be tough for him. The Dingons is probably our mission with him. He's got a lovely draw, his work's good, and he can certainly win a race like this. But I am a little bit conservative giving this type of weight away, and if he had to win it, it would be a massive win. But if he could be running on into the money, I'd be more than happy. He's certainly got a lot in his favour, and if he doesn't come well in this race, then obviously it's about the step up in distance that he's waiting for, because he's got the ability. So we may just be at the bottom end of his range here, but he has a lot in his favour, and I give him a big chance. Also a very nice horse. He's being aimed at the Ready to Run in Cape Town. On his best form, he should be running on nicely. If he earns a check, I'd be more than happy. So it's possibly a very, very good horse, Andrew. It's just a starting point for him. We are considering Cape Town as well. He gave me a top gallop during the week. It wouldn't shock me to see him win a race like this, even though we are using it as a prep. Yes, a lovely debut win. Disappointing next run. However, it was a race that went very poorly for him. He was caught wide, he was over racing, and we got no sort of indication of his ability in that race. He's another horse that is a candidate for the Ready to Run in Cape Town, and we're trying the tongue tie and expecting him to be running on strongly, but of this rating, he's got a big ask.
The Graham Beck is a race that always produces a good horse, and Stake and Ale looks very promising since the gelding.
Yes, he came well weighted, and we just wanted to try get a gauge for him. Obviously, I did suffer interference, and the race came from a very bad draw. I had to settle him quickly, and I found myself sitting almost last of a slow run race and a sprint for home. And he finished strongly running second. I think stand side track will suit him better on a true run race. I think with the lightweights, I'm expecting a big run from him. So this is just a test to see if we can enter him for the Dingons and take it from there.
Yeah, TALLINN has been smartly placed until now. She's run 3 out of 3 and is booming with confidence. But Saturday will be a big test for her. She drew badly in the fillies race, unfortunately, which would have been our first choice. So it's kind of difficult to assess where she stands with the fillies and with the colts now that she's running in the Graham Beck. But like I said, she's confident, she's in a good space, so we're taking our chances there. And then Frosted Gold, he's got a lot of talent. He's got good juvenile form. We gelded him. He became a little stubborn towards the end of last season. Seems a little better. We're hoping that he's not so stubborn at the races. But the race will tell us that. He's in good form, working well. And if he brings his best, then I suppose he's got to be a big runner.
Okay, then on to Insignis. There was a lot to like about her last start. She finished like a train, and she's got a lovely draw, whereas her stable companion, Secret Potion, who may be running over a trip slightly short of her best, has got a bad draw to contend with.
Yeah, I think Insignis, she's got 60 to carry, which is not an easy task, but she's a good filly, and I think, with an inside draw, Gav hopefully can find himself a box seat somewhere, and if she's up to that weight, then she's got a good winning chance, I think. Secret Potion, I've been a little bit disappointed with her recent efforts. She is a very, very good filly. She's 5, and kind of looked like she'd lost a little bit of her zest for racing. She looks $1 million, and her work's been good. They can lose their form, but class is forever. Yeah, I'm just hoping that she sort of makes a bit of a comeback run. I do think she'd go well. She's fit, and she's very sound, so I'm hopeful that she's going to show us something again. But like I said, I was just a bit disappointed with the last 2 efforts. I expected more, and while they weren't just terrible runs, I don't think they were her, So in this class, she is good enough. She's proven it before. I don't think you can ignore her, but I battle to give you confidence.
Always got a chance in these type of races, especially when you run for Mr. Azzy. Obviously, I think I'm on the second stable elect, but she's also filly, I think, very much to the task. Just a pity, a little bit of a poor draw, but we are on the stand side, back on the stand side on a fair track, and I'm expecting a decent bid from her.
Yeah, she's a smart filly too, on the app, full of confidence. Saturday's a big test for her though, and it'll be interesting to see where she stands, but prep's gone really smoothly and we're looking forward to it.
I think Second Request is not out of it, even though there's one or two hard knockers here that look like they'd be hard to beat. A horse like Bees, one or two others. It's a top race, Queen Supreme. She is a temperamental filly. Luke was getting on really well with her in Durban, and then she started with a few of her issues. So I think it'll be an interesting combination to get him back on. We've done a lot of work with her at home, and I'm sure she'll be settled enough on race day. Chariots of Gold, she's a nice outsider. Obviously, as I said, a tough race, but if you're going to go wide, you could include a filly like this.
His type of horse, he doesn't show you much at home, but it gets to races, he knows what to do. He might just need it in my perspective because it's a bit bulky horse, but he's got a lot of talent and scope, and I'm expecting a massive run from him.
Onto the Golden Loom, where you've got a horse called Bold Eagle. He's definitely not straightforward, but we know he's talented.
He is. I think 5 is, it's on the sharp side for him, and it's a very competitive field. But off 53.5, I do think he's a runner. He's been carrying fairly big weights most of the time, and he hasn't run badly, but for me, he hasn't quite shown his best yet. We did find issues with his lungs, and he's obviously had a course of nebulizing and whatever, try and clean him up, and his breathing's very clear. Work's been very, very good. I think he's competitive without being any kind of a good thing.
Of the runners that we've chatted about, is there anything that you're particularly bullish about?
I can't say I'm particularly bullish, but I do think that I've got a really strong hand in the 3-year-old races, the 3-year-old features, and if I had to come home empty-handed with one of those 3 races, I'd be disappointed.
And finally, Matt, I don't really get all the social media that there is, but what's news on Socrat and what's news on Hawam in terms of the big picture?
Yeah, well, Socrat is running in the Victory Moon next Saturday. The charity mile he could have run in, but if he won the charity mile, he would have got a penalty, and we're considering running him in the Summer Cup, so we're trying to avoid that. The Victory Moon, he's much better off at the weights, and if he wins, won't necessarily be penalised for that. So that's the route we're taking with him. And then Hawam is going through the gates on Saturday before racing, so he's in a good space, and he'll be running on the 14th of November, I think it is, in a Pinnacle.
That's in Gauteng, and the Green Point?
We're going to run him in a 1200 on the 14th, and then there's a mile Pinnacle first week of December, and then we'll probably go down for the Queen's Plate.